Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. We are reacting to the second coach of the day and the second coach of the entire 2024 SEC Media Day, Shane Beamer, head coach at South Carolina. Just reacting to what he had to say. Again, I'm your host, Dave Shumate, longtime college football personnel guy. Worked 7 years in the SEC in recruiting personnel departments, but specifically Shane Beamer. We know he's an emotional guy, naturally an emotional guy, optimistic guy. If you put a glass here, glass half full, or you put two glasses here to the side of me, I would say he's gonna pick one of them naturally, and he's gonna say, "Hey, this is a full one. It's a glass half full." He's a glass half full guy, guys. That's just what he is. He's positive. He was essentially hell. If I was a CEO of a company, I wanted Shane Beamer today. He was selling it. He was cooking. He was selling academics. How great of a young man he had. A bunch of people should marry these players. He didn't say that. I'm putting the words in his mouth there. But talked about a bunch of guys. I essentially thought South Carolina's whole team listening to this was going to be a bunch of Rhodes Scholars. But again, I get it. He has to sell. Heading into year 4, he's got to sell some optimism. After finishing year 2, winning 2 out of his last 3, he beat Tennessee and Clemson back-to-back top 10 wins to finish the year 4, losing to Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. Then last year underachieved a little bit. So he's selling. Talked about success all across South Carolina athletics. I can appreciate it. I figured Shane Beamer would have been one of the more, if you told me I could have predicted his script, probably would have nailed this one. Like Lane Kiffin today, he's going to have some comments, but I'll be interested to see how he is. A little bit more of our maybe not a downer, I hate to use that word, but a little more remorseful coming in after his father passing next week. It'll be interesting to see that. But really, on Shane Beamer, you could tell he's really selling. He wants to talk about the success of everything. But he knows this is a big year. This is a big year for them. He mentioned it's the best roster they've had. I would believe that. I'd believe that, especially in the line of scrimmage. I know people always talk about the offensive line. And again, it's probably been, I feel like, since over a decade since you feel like South Carolina had a really good offensive line. I mean, probably Steve Spurrier in 13 or 14. So something along those lines. But I like some of the guys they brought in. They were young cats that had to play early last year. Tree Babalade over there at left tackle. Trevon Ball over there at the guard spot. Rashawn Lee, he's going to be key as well. And I think a guy, you talk to people inside the program, Kason Henry, the right tackle, has to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, hear me out here. If they can stay healthy, South Carolina is going to have one of their better offensive lines they had in quite a bit. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's talent there. Taylor Edwards from the personnel department. This staff has done a good job building it up front in this league. They at least attempted it. Offensive line stays healthy, watch out. And I think it's going to be a different scheme this year. They're not going to go ask Lenore Sellers like they did with Spencer Rattler to go drop back and throw the ball 35 times in 6 games last year. That's what he did. 35 times or more, Spencer Rattler had to throw the ball in 6 games. Or I should say in 6 games, he threw the ball 35 times or more. Excuse me. They were slinging around. And that was right. I thought Spencer Rattler had one of the more underrated years in the country last year. Him and Graham Mertz. Probably Spencer Rattler even more. Thought it was a solid pick for the Saints in the draft. But Lenore Sellers is a total different kind of player. Totally different player. You get to use him totally different. Dow Loggins, Mike Shula, Sean Elliott. I'm going to bring this up in a minute. I think if they can utilize the run game, offensive line stay healthy, then it should be fine. People are talking about Rocket Sanders. From people I talked to in South Carolina, I don't know how healthy he's going to be throughout the year. Maybe one of those injury-prone kids. Talented. If he can stay healthy, we may see a flashback of 2022 when he was in Fayetteville. It's a big question, though, guys. That's a big question. I don't know. I know Shane Beamer mentioned something about rocket science, what he's done here. Again, he was selling. If I was a CEO of a company today, I wanted what Shane Beamer was cooking. He came in with optimism, about riding a bull, and that's him normally. But he was selling the program, selling the university. That's what the big donors and stuff, Ray Tanner, the athletic director, wants to hear. Shane Beamer is no fool, man. He's Frank Beamer's son. He's been in the game his entire life. He knows he's got to sell because if they only win anywhere from 4 to 5 games this year, they're going to be looking at some stuff. I think Brooks Austin had a great question about why they went a little bit more transfer portal heavy instead of high school heavy. It may have been nothing, but I thought Shane Beamer had a good question too, or a good answer to that as well. Let's talk about what else did we do. Talked about selling hard that I thought he got out of it. Likes where the team is. He's deep. We mentioned it. Coaching additions and subtractions. I mentioned it just a minute ago. No one's really talking about this. Pete Limbo was probably the best special teams coordinator in the country last year. Shane Beamer, special teams guy himself. His father, where did you get the term Beamer ball? The Beamers love special teams, and it wins your football games. We don't talk about it in previews. We don't. We only talk about it when our kicker misses a kick late in the game. Our kicker shanks one off his foot, gives the team short field position. Someone lets a ball hit him on a punt. The team gets another possession. We're fumbling a punt return in a big situation. Does that sound familiar from the Iron Bowl last year, Auburn fans? So special teams wins your game, but we never want to talk about it. Pete Limbo could be a big loss for them. He went on, moved on, great things. Shane Beamer complimented him. Said he was fired up that he got the head coaching job at Buffalo. But I think that could be a bigger loss than people talk about. He was the best at his job. Now, from a positive standpoint, hang with me, South Carolina fans. We're getting here. Sean Elliott. You're familiar with that name. Used to be with Steve Spurrier as the offensive line coach at South Carolina. I think his wife and them stayed in the Columbia area, if I'm right. But he's the former Georgia State head coach. Left Georgia State to be the head man, from being the head man to going to be the tight ends run game coordinator, if I believe right. Just talked about. I think that's what his title is. He's going to have a big say in the offense. He likes to run the football. I think they're going to tweak this. They're going to have to. I mean, again, like I said, if Lenore Sellers comes out there slinging the rock, the whole offensive staff should be fired. The whole offensive staff should be fired. I just brought up Sean Elliott. Solid addition. South Carolina was good on offense up front when he was there. That's when they last had their major success, was when he was there with Steve Spurrier. Remember, he was the interim head coach when Spurrier retired in 2015. And then finally, Mike Shula. We all remember that name. Shane Beamer brought it up, and some clown on social media was saying I didn't say it earlier. Now, I'm not saying I'm the first one, but I knew for a while, the past few months, that had happened. Well, since the season ended, that Mike Shula is now an offensive analyst at South Carolina, will have a big say in the game plan. Shane Beamer mentioned it today. It just kind of made it public. Hell, I talked about it on social media a week ago. He's going to be a big addition. Mike Shula's a good offensive mind, guys. And I don't really care what your Alabama neighborhood tells you. They had a good offense with Carolina. I know he had Cam Newton, but again, they went to the Super Bowl when he was the offensive coordinator. He's another good mind to have. I'd rather have him than not have him. Let's just put it that way. I'd rather have him than not have him. So I think those are two solid additions on offense. That I think they know who they are. They're going to be different this year. They have to be. Like I mentioned, again, I don't really believe in the receiver unit over there. I mean, they got some solid. I mean, there's some solid guys, but no real dudes. The Gage Larvadane, Jared Brown coming over from Coastal Carolina. Can Nick Harbor turn into that freak that everybody thinks he is, or does he have that track and field kind of mindset? Nothing wrong with that. Play as many sports as possible. That's a different mindset. That's a different mindset. And then I would say, but overall, that's the best way to use it. You got to use Lenore Sellers' strengths here. Because I just think you expected him to go layered at all three levels, go from hash to hash. That's not him. You're setting him up for failure. And again, Dow Loggins, Mike Shula, Shane Beamer, Sean Elliott, all those guys know that. So I'm not telling them something they don't know. But then moving over to the defensive side of the ball. Coach Whiteside, Clayton Whiteside, that defensive line will be the most underrated unit in the SEC, potentially in that conversation. And you could make an argument they are the most underrated unit. Alex Huntley, Tonka Hemingway, TJ Sanders. If they can get anything out of DeAndre Jules, Monquel Goodwine's a guy that signed with Alabama out of high school that Beamer talked about, had some SEC experience, had to transfer, go elsewhere. The defensive line may be one of the more underrated units in the entire league. If they can step up, I like the defense. The defense, I mentioned it in my CFB Focus 2024 college football preview. When I was previewing the SEC, I mentioned the defense for South Carolina is going to keep them in games. It's going to come down to the offense. I like the defense. They get some questions answered in that back end and really in the corner spots, left, right corner. South Carolina's going to be okay on defense. So like I mentioned, it's going to keep them in every game. But overall, though, not trying to get long-winded, we're 9.5 minutes into an instant reaction video. We're going a lot of coach speak, especially Shane Beamer, just selling. Always be selling, as Alec Baldwin said. But no, I mean, it was to be expected. You can tell he likes this team. He likes the kids. It's his team from a high school portal standpoint. A lot of the kids they brought in that were with the team 2 years ago, he mentioned, that had the success the last 2 weeks in November against Tennessee and Clemson. They're all there. They're older. They're all about seniors. I think he likes this team. He has some concerns as well. You can tell, we'll see, but I like where we're at. We're working hard. It's not going to be a lack of effort. Debo Williams, you talked about, said, we're not hungry, we're starving. I think that's the mentality of that team. You like where they're going at from a mentality standpoint, but can they stay healthy? Can they play to Lenore Sellers' strength? That's good. That's going to be the issue. And again, we can't answer the injury question. We can't. But guys, I appreciate you joining us. Let's see what Dylan Stewart, Trey Creamer, David Regira. I'm actually hyped to see the defense leadership. Again, need to stay healthy. 100%, David. If the defense, if you tell me at the end of the year, you're telling me come early December, first week of December, that South Carolina stayed healthy on defense, they're a good team. They're a good team. And when I say, it's all relative, guys. When I say good team, 6 to 7 wins. 6 to 7 wins. But again, guys, Beamer, as expected, optimistic. I think it's going to come down some coaching additions and subtractions. We'll also Pete Limbo, probably the best special teams coordinator in the country, to Buffalo being the head coach. We'll see if that hurts him on Saturday. We don't talk about special teams in the offseason for whatever reason. And then the additions on offense. Like I said, Sean Elliott coming over from being the Georgia State head coach, Mike Shula, analyst. But hey, let's play to Lenore Sellers' strengths. And then defense, they stay healthy, they're going to be good, guys. They're going to be good. But guys, stay with us all day. We have a ton of content coming at you. We still got to do live reaction to Lane Kiffin and Clark Lee. Follow the SEC Unfiltered channel. Follow myself at Mach 10 Sports. Follow Chris Phillips over at C Philly, and then follow our guy Mr. Cole Thompson as well. And follow us on all SEC Unfiltered social media platforms, guys. It's all day, every day. We're bringing you all things SEC. Season's almost here, guys. This is always the kickoff to me. But I will see y'all in a couple of hours here, about an hour when Lane Kiffin finishes up, guys. But I appreciate you joining us. Live reaction to Shane Beamer in South Carolina. To be expected.